Are there any landmines that you think could blow people up?
Just come over, stay at my house, lock me in my room, and don't let me out. I've talked to so many people over the years. They had no idea that I was like an alcoholic to the degree that I was. And I was like, well, you never asked.
Like for me, stuffing my face with popcorn really helps. And you pair it with like a non-alcoholic beer, like the best one.
I used to tell you that you smelled like cheap hamburgers.
It's crazy, I know. Do you think that making the choice to get sober over the course of the last 30 days for you, has it been worth it?
Oh my God, it's...
30 days sober.
Yeah, how's it going for you?
For the most part, it's going really well. Yeah, feeling better physically. It's just a long process. It's just one step at a time, one day at a time. And 30 days starts with day one. So that was the biggest step. And in a way, I kind of see like every day as day one, because every moment of every day is even just like making the decision or the commitment or the like vow renewal. It just needs to be constantly revisited. Because 3 o'clock rolls around, I'm like, it's just there. 5 o'clock rolls around. And so I got to get through the tough part. It's a lesson in character building, if nothing else. Yeah. So we've both been sober for 30 days, but we've been sober longer than this. When we stopped the podcast back in 2023, you went a few months with alcohol drinking. And, I think I went a year before reverting back into habitually drinking every day. But we both started drinking, and then 2.5 years went by.
Yeah.
And then we decided to bring the podcast back and been sober 30 days since. I wonder what's different this time, if anything. And so that's sort of like a progress report that I want to unpack, for me and for you. I think it's important to say that if anybody wants the full story on what happened in the 2.5 years, and why we made the decision to come back. A few episodes ago, episode 1 of season 2, The Comeback, The Return of the Sober Bros, you can watch that. What did drinking look like for you typically in the 2.5 years before we got sober? Like get us up to speed. Like, so you're 30 days sober now. What were you coming off of?
I was coming off of a stretch of probably 6 months or so of just 2 or 3 beers a night. And that was mostly just like work related. It was just so easy after a stressful day at work when there's a lot to do to have 2 or 3 of those, get home, the sun's setting, enjoy that twilight, and just take the edge off and kind of like slip into that little hazy kind of feeling of catching that first buzz. So as, a functional alcoholic, not really having much to like beat myself up about if I'm only having a couple of those, and I'm still feeling good with Taekwondo and like rehab work and workouts, but there was still, in the mornings, there would be just like that buzz, that noise in my head. That's just the constant like shame echo, not feeling super good about myself, feeling powerless to the addiction. And that's just not a good place to be in. That's just like not mental wellness. So I didn't feel good in my head, and it would just like carry kind of throughout the day, unless I got distracted enough to not think about it. And so, what's different about this, as far as what you said earlier, just kind of like observing myself, I feel a lot more confidence. I feel more just like a man, like I'm doing what I should be doing. I'm taking care of my shit. I'm not slipping up. I'm accountable to myself. And that's just a whole different feeling of like feeling good about how I'm moving through the world and realizing I don't need those 2 to 3 beers. I can get a very similar feeling. I've been just doing evening walks down to the river, brisk little walks, and getting my blood moving. And that gets me out of my head. I get some of those beneficial chemicals running through my blood that just make me physically feel good. And yeah, so I've been really enjoying just that, letting just that little bit go. And there's that little measure of increase in mental health is priceless. It's invaluable. Can't put a price tag on that,
Yeah. Is there one thing in particular that helped you in the first day of getting sober?
Yeah, that first day, the first day that I just went completely without anything, I had my daughter with me. So that made it a lot easier to be able to just not do that for her and set that great example of just not doing it. But I considered the first day sober, really, when she went back to her mom, and then I was just left to my own devices. And that just took an incredible exertion of willpower, which I don't oftentimes have. And that was a real knuckle biter. I didn't have delirium tremens. I wasn't experiencing major withdrawal syndromes or symptoms rather physically, but it was the psychological withdrawals of not having that. And I was by myself. So yeah, that just took like really just bearing down and repeating in my head, like I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Just relax, watch a movie and then just go to bed, and I've got some herbal sleep remedies, that I'll take that about a half an hour, 45 minutes after I have those, I just start getting drowsy and I get to go to sleep.
Yeah. It seems like going that route, which is the route I take, is like, it's not guaranteed. It's a little iffy. Can get dicey in there.
Oh yeah.
But that's the way you did it. And that's actually the way I did it.
Yeah, unless somebody is able, unless somebody has the resources to check themselves into a rehab, then that's just going to be the case typically. And a lot of people don't understand that mind of an addict. From the outside, they could just ask me like, well, why don't you just stop? Well, it's not that easy. When you just have the circuitry in your brain that's just been wired for this for so many years and so many countless nights, to do something different and break out of that kind of routine can be excruciating and very, very, very difficult. If somebody just doesn't have the willpower, if somebody is just not going to be strong enough, one thing I thought about in the past that's a totally viable option is to just ask a friend, to sleep over. And it's got to be, in their house, like in the person's house, the addict's house, to break that pattern. Get a friend to come over and just crash on the couch and just be there with you through that first night to make sure you don't go out and fuck up again. I had considered, I have asked friends in the past jokingly, I never actually did it, but jokingly, asked them like, just come over, stay at my house, lock me in my room and don't let me out, because that's like that's how it feels like, right? It's like this monster trying to get out and take over and wreak havoc.
Is there any like mistakes that you would want to like flag that people could make, things to avoid if they want to stay on the path through day one? Are there any landmines that you think could blow people up?
I mean, the landmines, the triggers are infinite. Honestly, especially that first evening, the triggers could be absolutely anything. It could just be, a feather could have tipped me over. Something just innocuous as water pressure not being high enough in my sink washing dishes or something like that. Could like bother me enough. I would use any kind of excuse, so like how to deal with those things. One thing that I've been dealing with or that I've been utilizing is breath work. And I've got a practice where I'll just breathe in for like a count of 4 and then I let it go always through the nose, breathe out for a count of 12 to 16. And I do that for several minutes and my nervous system is completely reset and I feel good. I feel peaceful. I feel like calm and relieved, and all desire to change that state of being leaves me.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you only do when you're sober?
Oh, no. I do this every morning. I spend like 30 to 45 minutes doing a variety of breathwork exercises that just kind of help me to get into a centered state of being to start my day. But then I will check in with myself throughout the day. And especially in the evening, one of the first things I do when I get home, get out of the car, put all my stuff away, come in. And if I have the time, which I almost always do, I just sit down again on my little meditation cushion. And I just do like 3 to 5 minutes of this breath work so I can start my evening off that way instead of frazzled thinking about the drink, because the thinking will just, once it starts, it's very difficult to stop that. Unless you have something to interrupt it.
Yeah. So you could adopt mental models or something physical like movement and exercise, or just like other substances. Like for me, stuffing my face with popcorn really helps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I love a good big bag of popcorn and ice cream.
Which flavor?
Well, right now I'm on like sort of a bag of popcorn that's like a caramel cheddar mix. Nice. So you just fill up a big bowl. and put your hand in there and grab like cheddar and caramel mix and just right into the mouth.
Yep.
And you just do enough of that, man. And it's like you pair it with like a non-alcoholic beer, like the best one.
Yeah.
And it's like a craft beer that like a Pilsner here.
Yeah. And you don't feel guilty about drinking that at 11 o'clock in the morning.
No. So, I mean, it's a good refresher in the morning, in the evening. I'm saying this because it helps. Okay, so you have a craving for the alcohol. Stock your fridge with some good non-alcoholic beer, like Biro, link in description if you're interested. A bag of popcorn or ice cream, because those aren't things you want to do long-term all the time. I mean, you want to clean up your diet and nutrition, obviously, but, at least to get you through day one. Yeah. And even up to day 30, I'm talking about things that you can do. Also, recently, I quit smoking like a couple of weeks ago. I really like to use these knickknacks.
Right.
Nicotine lozenge. Probably a lot of people have heard of like nicotine pouches or patches. Yeah, whatever. And so it's like that, but I like knickknack. They're like natural ingredients and they're lozenges, so they dissolve in your mouth and not a pouch that you have to throw away. But link in description if you want to check some of those out for yourself.
Yeah, and those taste great. Health.
Yeah, they taste great. They got natural essential oils for the flavors. So knickknacks help me to not reach for tobacco, although that's still a battle. None of these are foolproof strategies, like there's still an element of risk and surprise in every day, Are you going to get through this moment? So I quit smoking tobacco. I say tobacco because I don't smoke cigarettes, Marlboros, Camels and all that, but Royal American Spirit, tobacco, whatever. So I quit for like 7 days and then I had a craving that was just felt really... The bargaining of it was really sensible and pure and like seemed like innocent. It was just like, it's a part of your identity. It's who you do. Why wouldn't you go smoke right now? And so I decided just to like give into it that day. And so I went and bought another pouch and then I smoked for 2 days, but then I got my act together after a couple of days and I actually threw the pouch out, most of it, because I just don't want to be smoking it. I want to be overcoming dependency on external substances and anything that would lure me into an escape from presence with body, mind, and soul. It sounds very kind of like woo-woo and hippie when I say it like that, but you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So I am currently just using the knickknacks, not smoking, Biro, non-alcoholic beer, popcorn. Had a bunch of that last night.
Actually, those knickknacks actually do help me out with drinking because I feel like it just curbs. What was I going to say? It curbs cravings. It curbs cravings in general. So, like I can go almost an entire day without smoking because I haven't quit that. That doesn't bother me. I'm only doing a couple of those a day. But the knickknacks also help curb stress because it's a neurotropic. So it's like actually helping with brain function, cognitive function. And I just feel like it curbs cravings in general. So that's been helping out with the not drinking as well.
Yeah. So sleep is still an issue for me.
Is it?
Well, it has been for years. I mean, I don't have a problem falling asleep. I just have a problem getting myself to go to bed. I always just stay up late. And so I'm chronically sleep deprived. And I'm sure this is not unique to me, but when I get sober, when I quit drinking, the more clarity I get in my cognitive function, like my mind is like really active at night. So I get inspired with a lot of ideas. And so I start to journal more. I fill up my task manager with ideas of things to do about this and that, things that I forgot or just like neglected in general. It starts going into my task manager and then my journal. And then I start creating little projects and stuff or reading. I like have a big pile of ebooks that I bought over the last few years that I haven't read. So I'm like, oh man, I really want to read them, so I'll read, write, create. So sleep is kind of a ongoing problem with me.
Well, and at this stage in your son's life, time in the daytime when you got a little kid around, that kind of time is super rare. So it will be nighttime, and My daughter's 10 years old now. So she does, and she's always been really good about just entertaining herself. But yeah, it used to be back when she was much younger that when she would go to bed, that's when I would be able to do all the stuff that I would, want to attend to. Could be reading, could be doing stuff on the computer, other whatever, projects. So yeah, that's something that you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's so true. So you have addiction and all that going on, but if you're a parent, then you got the whole thing going on with your kid too, and it's just go, go, go when they wake up, and he's not in school, and we don't put him in daycare, so he's always with us. A lot of people do, I guess, but yeah, it's a quiet time at night when they go to bed. I just love the quiet, and actually, something that's happened since reviving Sober Bros is my inspiration level has been extremely high, and there's been 3 nights where I just didn't even go to bed. Like I would actually just stayed up all night. I don't know if I told you that.
No, that's ridiculous.
It is insane. Like one night, so I was like, okay, and Tracy was gone. She was on a work trip, and I put Miles in bed, and I laid in bed like I was going to go to sleep, and my mind was just going.
Right.
And I said, I'm not even going to go to sleep. There's so much to do. And so I just got up out of bed, left him sleeping, and made a cup of coffee and just like stayed up all night. Did that like 3 times.
Good God. How can you even deal with your son like the next day with no sleep? I mean, he's high energy. He just goes and goes.
Yeah, he's high energy. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I did it though.
Yeah, that's crazy. I definitely do recommend getting some like sleep capsules, a tincture, could be, California poppy, valerian, milky oats.
The sleep part is so important, and it's something I need to get better at. And I'm hoping I can use something like cognitive behavioral therapy to help me. I got to learn more about it because I'm my own worst enemy in so many ways. Like I know what's good for me, but this rebel inside of me, like prevents me from doing a lot of stuff that's good for me. Like I know that recovery and rest is so essential, and especially for addicts, like when you've got years of drinking stacked up, you're not really getting deep, restful sleep for recovery, of restoration. And so I missed out on a lot of that, and I'm still not really getting it. But so I don't recommend that people neglect the sleep component, but there is an opportunity there after getting sober is to allow yourself to recover in that way.
Yeah, my bedtime's at 10 o'clock. Like if I have my daughter here or not, I'm in bed by 10 and I'm usually up by 5:30 or 6.
Yeah. Do you think it's like ultra important? Is it better for you now?
Sleep is definitely better for me now. I do. I feel I wake up and I've got energy and I feel rejuvenated. And, like today, I did, I allowed myself to sleep in until 8 o'clock, but I've been waking up in the middle of the night with storms. But this morning I kind of woke up, and this just happens sometimes, just kind of some generalized anxiety, melancholy. Maybe it's because the skies are gray. That was something that I dealt with this morning, and that just happens sometimes. It's rare. I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, haven't felt that in a couple of weeks, so that's still there sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that too after, the habitual daily drinking sort of disassociates and numbs and escapes, so I can sort of temporarily pause the things that I should be attending to, whether they're mental, emotional, familial, professional. But when I get sober, in a way, I have nowhere to run and hide. So it's like time to face them. And it's very sobering. It's a little bit terrifying. And the weight of it is almost crushing to the point of like, I feel grief and shame and disgust and all kinds of like hardcore bad kind of like emotions about what have I been doing? And now what have I got to do? Like there's so much stuff, like finances are a wreck. I need to see a dentist. Been putting that off for a long time. I gained 30 pounds over the last few years. So it's like all of this neglect has consequences that have just crept in. And then getting sober, it's like, shit, look at this mess. And from a certain perspective, I think it could be said, if I was to give you a whole list of things that I've neglected and that have piled up, like I'm in a shitstorm of a mess, to clean up.
Yeah.
In every life area. And so for me, getting sober within the first 30 days is a lot of hardcore confrontation of the reality of the mess that you've gotten yourself into and how the fuck, where are you going to start cleaning up? Like if you ever look around your room, if you ever had a messy house and it's like your kid, like my boy, when he gets all his toys out and just like plays with them.
Yeah.
And when it's time to like clean them up, it's like, oh my God, where do you even start?
Right.
It's a bit overwhelming. I think that's what I want to say. Yeah. I want to say that something to keep your eye on if you're getting through day one and looking for day 30 milestone is you might want to just do whatever you can to steel yourself for a little bit of overwhelm. So that's kind of rough to deal with. And I was just saying that in reflection to you. You were sharing about a little bit of anxiety that you've been going through. Maybe a classic cliche metaphor is like you got a bunch of dirt in a glass of water that's just settled at the bottom, but growing. And then if you take a spoon and then you stir it all up, now it's just everywhere. Now you got to put it through a filter and start to process it.
Yeah. Now back in 23, when we did the podcast and I got sober, I mean, that was absolutely overwhelming. The amount of like emotional and psychological stuff that came up for me, that was absolutely overwhelming. And I mean, it would just make me laugh so hard sometimes, like how crazy it was. So that's definitely not the case this time because, you know, I was seeing a somatic experience therapist for a couple of years and just did tremendous amounts of work. And I just feel, I'm so grateful. Like I just feel so much better. I found a good therapist on psychologytoday.com who was able to do some sliding scale work, because it can be really expensive. And that helped me to get my mind cleaned up so much. This time around, I do see that there's a lot more tangible work to be done in my life. It wasn't necessarily overwhelming, but I looked around, I was like, shit, there have been so many things, like you said, that just keep on getting pushed back to the next day, to the next day, to the next day until, you look around and you're like, oh God, now there's just like so much to clean up. And just like cleaning up a physical space, my approach is typically, okay, well, you got to start somewhere. So just start with this one thing, check it off, move on to the next thing. Like I think it was Desmond Tutu who said, there's only one way to eat an elephant. Sorry to any vegans out there. There's only one way to eat an elephant, and that's just one bite at a time. You just got to start, and then it starts to feel really good, right? You start like getting those things, those checklists checked off, and it just starts to feel really good, starts to feel productive.
Do you think that making the choice to get sober over the course of the last 30 days for you, has it been worth it?
Oh my God, it's been so worth it. For sure. 100%. Super, super worth it. Life feels so much more rich. I feel so much more present. I feel my body. I feel differently. I feel good. I feel like colors are brighter. Literally, that's not just hyperbole. I remark to myself, when I take a walk down to the river, just like looking at the trees and being like, really, it seriously does look a lot more vivid and worthwhile. I feel like my interactions with my daughter, with friends, I'm so much more present and aware. That's
good. I was going to add on to that one of the benefits that I found, and you probably have too, is when I'm just drinking every day, it's really a struggle to go out into public. And like, let's say you want to go to a coffee shop and stand in a line or something, like,
oh God, no.
It's horrible to stand in a line and like talk to people because my eyes twitching, your nervous system's all like vibrating like that. So your eyes twitching. If you drop something, your lip is going to curl. And then like, there's just this, it's very awkward, socially awkward. And I just want to get away from people. I can't look them in the eye really.
Oh yeah.
I just can't show up. And so one of the most massive benefits is like coffee shop down the street. I can actually go there and not freak out around other people. I don't get so claustrophobic. All that is still there because I typically don't like to stand in lines. I typically don't like to be around people, but it's easier and I feel more normal. I think that's one of the biggest benefits that I've experienced. And I think most people will.
Totally. Yeah. There's a common phrase is like, you can't love other people if you don't love yourself. I think the same goes like you can't respect anybody else if you don't respect yourself. And if you're in the throes of addiction, there's no way that I'm going to be able to respect myself, let alone anybody else. If I don't give a fuck about myself, how the fuck am I going to give a shit about anybody else? And so you find yourself in public spaces just squirming and feeling crazy uncomfortable.
And then I get all self-conscious too, because I wonder if people are just noticing what a jackass I am, and I wonder if I smell, so, and because that happens if you drink too much and somebody's going to say something like, oh, you smell like alcohol.
Yeah, I used to tell you.
And then I'm like, oh.
Portland, I used to tell you that you smelled like cheap hamburgers.
Oh my God. All right. So Daniel, we got a question from a follower on Instagram. Her name is Amanda. How can I understand why my husband drinks to cope with stress? Why can't he do yoga or run like everyone else? Thanks for sharing that question, Amanda. It actually resonates with me a lot, being in a relationship with the person. And I'm sure my wife, Tracy, has thought similar thoughts. When I was drinking, by and large, like I knew that I could, out of infinite things I could do, yoga, going for a walk, anything healthy and productive, I always chose to, and she would even often go off for a walk on our travels or do yoga or something. And I would just rather sit there and have a drink at a certain time. I never drank in the morning, but come evening time, it was like, but then I say that, but it carries over into the morning. That's one of the problems. You can't ignore that, is that you choose to drink in the evening, but then the next day you're paying the rollover consequences from that. So in the morning, I'm almost 100% less likely to want to do yoga or something. Have a cup of coffee and a smoke and sit there and take my time getting into it, take a shower, whatever. So why does Amanda's husband choose to drink to manage his stress rather than anything healthy and productive like going for a run or yoga? What would you tell Amanda?
Well, from my personal experience, the last time I was really in a relationship where it was affecting things, I was with my daughter's mom. And actually, I was living in the garage at the time because we just needed separate spaces and it was working for us, but I was still drinking and I wasn't trying to hide it. I was hiding it out in the open. I wasn't vocal about it. I wasn't claiming to not be drinking, but I just wasn't really showcasing it. I was at work one day and she sent me a text with a picture of a bunch of empty wine bottles in the garage in my workshop area. And she asked me something like, is this what you call doing the work, or healing or whatever? And I was crestfallen. I was crushed. And super pissed and feeling tremendous shame and exposed. My daughter's mom chose to do that. She didn't understand why I was drinking. And I got home and I asked her, I was like, I think it was even crying at the time. I was like, why don't you just ask me? Why don't you offer to help? Why don't you explore some options with me instead of just judging me and treating me poorly? And at that point in a relationship, she couldn't really. But I mean, for Amanda, that would be the first thing I would suggest is just, okay, well, if you want to understand, just ask him. See if he is open to sharing about that. Because I know if I feel like I would have been open to talking to my daughter's mom about that if she had just come in without guns blazing and she just asked. And I've talked to so many people over the years. They had no idea that I was an alcoholic to the degree that I was. And I was like, well, you never asked.
Yeah, I think that's really a very simple and powerful piece of advice or just reflection. Not only for intimate relationships, but just relationships in general. I think people are caught up in themselves, worried about how people perceive them, me.
Yeah.
And they're trying to be interesting rather than interested.
Yeah, I remember one thing that Gabor Mate said when thinking about addicts. We shouldn't be asking why the addiction. We should be asking why the pain. From a recovering alcoholic perspective, I didn't realize how much pain I was in, but I was just in incredible amount of pain and I felt so incredibly shitty about myself, and drinking was something that I could do for myself. It was like a choice that I could make. It was, I could exercise control over that area of my life where I had agency, but nobody really ever asked me, why do you feel so shitty? Why, what can we do about this? Let's talk about this. And I didn't even know that that's what I wanted. really until we started doing the podcast and I started getting into therapy, and I realized that I did have quite a bit that I needed to get out.
Yeah. Well, I think if I was to just give some like rapid fire reflections to Amanda or someone going through that, speaking from an addict's perspective with alcohol, it offers fast relief. Something like yoga or walking or running or even, well, whatever else, they require a little bit more investment of time and energy. So the payoff, the reward is further off in the future, but the reward you get from alcohol is just immediate.
Yeah.
So it's just easier. I mean, that's sort of my answer to the question. Why does he? Well, it's easier. Well, it's bad that people want to make easy choices because it creates a hard life. It's crazy. I know. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Well, I don't understand it. Well,
well, yeah.
Then I would say what Daniel said is, well, just ask and.
Yeah, just ask. And alcohol does affect men disproportionately more than women. And I think that a big part of that is because we can be so emotionally closed off and not as easily able to talk about what's beneath the surface. Yeah, it is so much faster to just crack open a beer and drink it down. Thank God, I was never really exposed to heroin, because I can only imagine how much faster that relief is.
Yeah, big time. Well, Amanda, thanks for asking the question. To anybody else, if you got a question you want us to sort of talk about on the show, hit us up in the comments, send us a DM, shoot your question. You can comment here on YouTube, even Spotify and Instagram. We're going from day 30. We're looking to day 60. Are you prepared to get to day 60?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm feeling more inspired
do you have any,
than I have in my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any plan, or are you not thinking that far ahead? You just are you sitting in a confidence?
I'm just kind of, resting in that confidence right now. And I just have so much to look forward to with my own personal business, Space of Love Foods, Taekwondo with my daughter, continuing my physical rehabilitation journey. Dude, I mean, the days fly by. It's absolutely bonkers how much I have on my plate right now. It's crazy. And I'm just very inspired and motivated to continue staying on top of those and staying engaged.
Yeah. Now, I said at the beginning, this is sort of a progress report, so you're seeing progress. How would you grade yourself?
B+, B+ to, because some days are harder than others, but overall, yeah, B+ on staying on top of things and staying inspired and motivated.
Well, I would give you an A+ because you're still sober and you haven't collapsed and you're showing up, and that's pretty much all you can expect.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that. That feels good. I'll take that.
Yeah. So things are better, but they're not fixed.
Will they ever be?
It's a good question. I don't know. Will they ever be? Should they ever be?
Right. Should they ever be? Is that the point of this human life?
Yeah, because there's always going to be struggle, but we can choose what struggles to fight.
Yeah.
All right. So getting to day 60, that's the next goal. You know what, though? Kind of going back to day 1 and day 30, I actually created an AI prompt to give people who are looking to get sober and stay sober for 30 days. And people can get this if they subscribe to the newsletter on Substack.
Sweet. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this prompt. I actually created it last night and I test drove it, and I was pleasantly surprised at the output. Yesterday, I just randomly thought about the term, people are using online, maxing, like health maxing, whatever maxing. Have you heard that? Yeah, so it just popped into my head for some reason. So I looked it up, like what it meant, because I'm a geezer and I didn't know what it meant, but it comes from the gaming world. Like you're maxing your character. And so basically it's slang, like you're trying to optimize something. And so people have been attaching on everything. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. I thought, oh, well, what can I do? And so I created the AI prompt and I called it the Sobermaxxing Quick Start.
Sweet.
You run this AI prompt, it runs you through 8 multiple choice interview style questions, and it helps you build a compelling case for day 1, identify what keeps your drinking pattern going, and it creates a summary that you can save for whenever your brain starts bargaining with you. And so it's very easy. You don't even have to, it runs you through 8 questions or multiple choice. You can even just answer A, B, or C, whatever. And then it gives you a whole report on, what your life is like with drinking, what it could be without it, and all kinds of things like that. And it gives you a report. You can just copy and paste it into your journal or download it as a PDF and save it. So subscribe to our newsletter on Substack and you can get it and share it.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing the conversation, Daniel. I give you an
good.
A+, and let's get to day 60.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.